Welcome to 303 Hoops, a whole lot more than the box score. For you hoop junkies, number nerds, or just someone who loves basketball, this is for the love of the game. Live from 303.
Yes.
I'm Ryan Hinske.
And I'm Caleb Bunch. But we have a special guest today. As you guys can tell, there's three of us in here. And if you want to introduce yourself, Sydney, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, boys. I'm Sydney MEYER. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about some Louisville basketball today.
It's true.
Very excited.
And why are you excited about Louisville basketball?
I'm excited because I am a homegrown Louisville girl.
Yes.
I grew up going to those games. I grew up going to the Yum Center. I was going to those games before the Yum Center was even a thing. So hopefully I have something to add to the conversation.
Yes. And
100%.
you guys know she is from Louisville because she says Louisville and not Louisville, not Louisville, Louisville.
And that's how you know. Caleb, you might as well be a local.
I might as well be. Southwest Indiana. Shout out to y'all. But yeah, so as always, we have a signature segment that we will now have 3 songs of the day. So, Ryan, you're ready to go. Kick us off.
I'm ready. Yesterday, I woke up to a beautiful fact. I went on my YouTube to watch NBA highlights.
Okay.
But YouTube knows me so well that the first video recommended to me on my feed was 303 Hoop. No, I'm kidding. We are on YouTube now. For those of you listening, we're also on YouTube. The Doobie Brothers did an NPR Tiny Desk concert.
Yes, love those.
Are you serious? The Doobie Brothers, the best. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. I haven't gotten into my love for yacht rock yet, but this is going to be my debut for that.
Here we go.
And I chose Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers for my song of the day because Darius Garland's back for the Cavs and they're taking it. They're taking it minute by minute.
They are.
You know, and I'm just excited as a Cavs fan. And that's all we'll talk about for the NBA today.
No, that's awesome.
It's college basketball week.
It's college basketball week, guys. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I love NPR Tiny Desk, man.
It's the best.
They're
We're learning
so
a lot
good.
about Ryan right now with the yacht rock, too.
Yes.
We are.
I love the yacht
We
rock.
are. He stays with different genres. I love
I've been mostly soul so far, but we're going yacht rock.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, I went with Ride With Me, Nelly, City Spud. I feel like it's very on brand today. We're going to be talking about NIL, so, you know, the signature line, A, must be the money. I think it
that's
fits in
perfect.
pretty well. So
Bang.
that's my song of the day. Love me some Nelly. That was my Halloween costume, actually, people. Y'all didn't see that, but
It was good.
thank you. That's all I needed. So, yeah, that was my song of the day. And Sydney.
So, yeah, I'm kind of on that same line of thinking with you, Caleb. I picked the song Millionaire by Kelsey and Andre 3000.
3 stacks.
This is a new discovery for me. But it's so good. It's so fun. It has a great beat. And with the NIL talk today, I feel like it's an appropriate title.
Of course.
Yeah. And that's a great song as well. And we're actually gonna keep the mic on you, Sydney. For I must confess, every Thursday we talk about some of the mistakes we made on Tuesday.
Yes.
We fess up. We don't have that level of pride and self.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm always right. No, we made some mistakes. Caleb was the one that made some real mistakes on Tuesday. Because he chose Duke to win the ACC?
Yeah, come on,
What?
Caleb.
Are we serious right now?
I feel some bias against me. And I had some bias on Tuesday with picking VCU and Duke, but I feel like having a Louisville girl here to talk about Louisville hoops, to pick Louisville to win the ACC.
I didn't do it justice.
It's a little biased, but
I didn't defend Louisville as well as I should have. And that's, I
Fair.
think Sydney can.
Sydney, you want to?
I'm not here to pretend like I don't have a bias either. I think that's part of what makes fandom so fun is if a call is made and it's the right call but it's against my team, part of the fun is that you get to get riled up about it. So listen, I just think that there is energy behind this Louisville team with Pat Kelsey, with some of the recruits that they've picked up this year that we haven't had in a really long time.
Yeah.
The fan base is so pumped up about it. There's just you can feel it in the air.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Duke has that same oomph. And that will take a team really far.
That's true. I mean, we're good every year, so
But
I
who's
guess
like-
that's why we don't have it. But
Who
yeah.
on Louisville, like, because they brought in some guys, but they lost Rain Smith, and that was one of the big things for me, being a biased College of Charleston fan. That like I'm like, oh, they don't have the same shooting that they did with Rain Smith, but they got some really good players, and the team I think is built to take down Duke finally.
Honestly, I think like our real strength are like our 3-point shooting. We just have some. Pat Kelsey has a real 3-point shooting identity, and that's hard to guard. So, I mean, I think all of our guards are kind of in a position to do that. In the last game that they played, that was kind of their identity too. They were really throwing up some crazy shots, and they were working for them. I think like that's also where we'll probably get into trouble like later in the season.
Right.
If we have a team, and I'm gonna bring Kentucky into the conversation, they've always been a good 3-point defending team. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. But it's a difficult thing to guard, and so I think like our guards are performing. They're performing well right now.
Yeah. And big recruit, Mikael Brown. He's been fun to watch
Yes.
so far, with the
has
guards
been.
especially. But we'll see. I'm not going to concede until it actually happens. I will never be like, yeah, Duke's losing the ACC. But I think that's fair.
I think we'll find out a lot about this on Tuesday.
Exactly.
And Caleb and I will probably mention it on Tuesday in our episode, but Louisville versus Kentucky.
Big game.
It's gonna be huge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are our thoughts here? That's a big game. Currently, Kentucky is seeded at 9, Louisville at 11, but ESPN Analytics matchup predictor is taking Louisville 77.5% to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for this game. I think it's so fun that they make a point to start off the season every year with this. It's just such a great kickoff. It gets people really involved.
Right.
I mean, obviously, like I came in here and said I wasn't going to ignore my bias. I'm taking them all the way. I think that's a great
Fair.
prediction.
Yeah.
I think, Kentucky's just, they've had an interesting season last season. Both of these teams have brand new coaches that are really trying to find their identity and shape like a legacy and these programs that are so everybody knows and everybody knows the history of. And so it's just like exciting. It's just so fun for everybody, especially now that they're both performing and competing well in their conferences.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a game that you gotta see.
That Bluegrass State rivalry,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
Grew up watching those, man. Huge, man. Those old teams with Patino and Cal, man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And they haven't been there in a while. I think
Fun
that's
to
what
watch.
going
Yeah.
off that point, they're newer, it's like they're refreshed programs.
No, exactly.
And it's cool to have a Kentucky team with all this prestige and like they have a lot of talent, but Louisville will shoot the lights out of the Yum Center. I think that's why I'm taking them. They're at home. I feel like every year these two teams play each other, whoever's at home is.
Yeah.
I will say though, last year when they played each other in Lexington, Louisville did win.
It's true.
So,
Good shout.
you're right. Both of these coaches have like so much momentum behind them. Both communities like really like them,
Right.
which is huge. So it's just gonna be really fun.
How could you not like them?
I know.
They're like both younger guys. Like they're
Both smart, both great coaches.
results.
They have results, and I think their players really like them too. Like people want to play for them.
And buy-in's important, especially with blue bloods like that, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
And we're going to talk about this later, but with so much of NIL talk and players like being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? Having a program that all of your players are buying into is so important with not only just believing in your coach, but continuity with one another as well. But yeah, so I think that's enough talk of Louisville and ACC, whatever.
What else do we have to confess about? Let's do them quick. We forgot 2 teams.
We did.
Maybe we should give the Big Ten some justice, Caleb.
Yeah, I know. We quickly talked about Purdue. We're like, yeah, they'll win the Big Ten. But I think that UCLA team, we didn't even mention them. We talked about.
I feel bad about that.
We mentioned Illinois. We mentioned Yaxel Lindbergh in the Michigan squad, who did put up 128 points against Oakland. But I think UCLA needs some love. Donovan Dent had an awesome season last year at New Mexico, right? And he didn't get a lot of love in high school. He played with Jared McCain in high school at Centennial in California. So he might have been like a under-the-radar recruit, but really showed us who he was last year at New Mexico. Made the transfer over to UCLA, who's had a history of lead guards there, right? Obviously, Russ comes to mind, and Zach LaVine and Baron Davis and other players as well. But I think Mick Cronin really is trying to get his players to buy in this year, and I think Donovan Dent is where that starts and will ultimately end, right? He'll take them as far as they want to go. So he had 21 in his first game, which was huge for them, that program, getting them kicked off. And then also Xavier Booker, Michigan State transfer, was looking good. So that'll be interesting to see how they play in Big Ten play. I know they prefer a faster pace of play, which is sort of not Mick Cronin's style. He usually likes a defensive identity. He's more of an old school, like, hard knocks coach. But it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Ryan, do you have any thoughts on UCLA?
I mean, yeah, I'm worried about their defense a little bit, but I do want to get to Northwestern. What school do we go to? Like,
I know.
We forgot to mention them and like be biased towards them.
Right.
But you know, they got a guy from the A, Atlanta, Arrington Page, your guy, Caleb.
I know. Atlanta.
Yeah, and he's a transfer out of Cincinnati via USC. Dropped the team I-18. So and he went to Wheeler, right?
Big high school in Atlanta area. So I got to watch some Wheeler basketball last year. And that is a historic program down there. Jaylen Brown went there.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's familiar with him. But they have some NBA guys. Isaiah Collier went there. So they have a history of putting people in good positions to succeed in college and then in the pros as well. So that'll be interesting. But, yeah, of course, go Cats, you know. We need to give them some love, of course. But, Sydney, do you have anything else you want to say?
I do want to say that I think – not to take it back to Louisville, make it all about me again. There is a player I do want to talk about, Kason Pryor. He got injured last season and wasn't able to finish it out, but he was performing at a really, really high level before. And I talked about the guards. He's a forward. I really think that, assuming that he is coming back and performing at the same level that he was last time before he got injured, I really think he could be a difference maker, and I'm excited to watch him play and hopefully play a full season this year.
Yeah. Good shout.
Awesome.
Good shout. Also,
I must confess I forgot about Kason Pryor.
I must confess.
That's not your fault. Like he got injured.
Right.
So,
and we will like to say women's basketball matters too. We didn't talk about women's basketball, women's hoops on Tuesday, so we must confess we forgot that. But women's season is kicked off. They've had a couple of ranked matchups. Unfortunately, my Duke Blue Devils lost to Baylor. But that's neither here nor there. So,
and they have
women's
a great
basketball,
coach.
They do. Kara Lawson, she's awesome.
She's set to coach the Olympics.
Yeah.
So she'll get them in check. They'll be fine.
They'll be good. Duke's always good. But enough of that. We've talked about kind of our songs of the day, alluded to this, Sydney, and we also talked about buy-in with coaches, stepping in and out. A huge question or a huge question mark over college basketball recently has been NIL, right? The contracts that players deserve or think they deserve, and honestly, how much buy-in coaches can get from players that, like I said before, have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and then also want to be potentially at a school they think is better. But I think a huge note of that is just the fact of roster continuity, and that'll have a huge impact over college basketball this year. We've seen in the past, one-and-done teams haven't necessarily succeeded as high of clips as they have in the past, so really relying on veteran players is a big part. And, of course, that requires transfer portal if you're looking as coach recruiting for players that will come in. We see St. John's did that a lot. And I just had some figures I want to throw out there. According to Ryan Hammer, shout out to him.
Shout out Ryan Hammer.
The Ivy League and the Patriot League are the only 2 conferences in college basketball that have over 40% roster continuity. And so essentially what that means is the roster from last year is coming back. So those 2 programs are the only programs that have 4 out of 10 on average of their players coming back, which I think is pretty startling. I think when you think about that, most of your players are not returning that were there last year as a college basketball team, which is hard to create momentum. And especially when trying to build in offenses and systems, you really require people to know that like the back of their hand, right? And so I think specifically looking at Big 4 conferences, the Big 10's at 30%. The SEC is at 26%. ACC's at 25%, and Big 12, goodness gracious, 21%.
Wow.
So
Third to last
of the 31 D1 conferences listed here, right? So I think that just speaks to kind of how big of a deal NIL has become, and players, like I said, seeking those dollars, really, just their contracts, right? And that'll have huge implications going forward. But enough of me speaking. What are your guys' thoughts?
Honestly, my hot take about this is I think that it has made coaches more important than players.
That's fair.
I think that, coaches have always been super important. It's always been like a huge part of recruitment. But with transferring being so easy, especially for fan bases, if a fan base doesn't like their coach or they feel like their coach isn't performing at a high enough level, and I guess that's always been the case, but if fan bases specifically don't like their coach, his personality, he's the only continuity they have year to year.
Right.
And so it's just it just makes it puts more pressure on coaches to be a personality and not just hide behind their clipboard and call plays.
And they got to be all business in the offseason, too.
Right.
I mean, they got to, like when you're talking about the transfer, it's one thing to be recruiting all year and like bring a guy into your school. And if it's a good match, it's a good match, right? But there's something to be said about, when the transfer portal opens, right? And, they're supposed to be like negotiating after that opens, but we all know that,
Right.
It's kind of murky there, and it's going to be for a while because it's whenever something new gets enacted like this, it takes a while to get adjusted. And I think coaches have to be so dynamic in that they are talking business a lot more than they used to. But then when the season starts, these are your, brothers.
Right.
You got to unite the culture again and bring in the fans. And like, I think that's part of the reason why Pat Kelsey is one of the best at doing this, is he only really came on the scene post NIL. And a lot of it is because he is really energizing the fan base, which brings in revenue dollars. More advertisers are coming in because more of these students are seeing these advertisements, more alums are seeing it. So you have to bring in that zhuzh to the program that you could have had that roster continuity and just like, we're going to put a product out there that's great. I think the product still matters, but Pat Kelsey sort of, kind of reminds me of like in the political sphere, Zoran Mondani, and like it's all social media. Like he's going out there walking around on campus.
I saw that. I saw
those
that.
videos.
He was doing that in College of Charleston.
Yeah, like it's so important for people to have a personality to rally behind, and I think like maybe back in the day when there was more player continuity, programs could get away with having like a coach that was. And this does work for some coaches. I'm thinking about like Dan Hurley, for example. Like he's always chippy. But that's something that that's his personality that he's selling.
He's like I will make you better.
Yes, like that's what the fan base is buying into. Is like we have this like guy who has almost like a crotchety old man kind of like personality. It just is like becoming the product like that the program is selling to a fan base. Pat Kelsey, those videos of him walking around U of L's campus asking students, like, are you coming to the game today? Like, did you get your tickets? Those perform so well, and it makes people who aren't students want to buy tickets too. And that goes so far with the product that you see on the floor is like, are your fans showing up? Are they invested in the team? Like, are they going to like cheer for you even like when you're down and give you the momentum that you need to catch back up? It's just really become so important.
Yeah, and because I know I want to hear your thoughts, Caleb, as a former D1 athlete, but it's interesting thinking about. Some people would maybe say it's the opposite, where they're like it's the culture building doesn't matter anymore because it's like, who can throw the most money at you.
Right.
And I think to a certain extent, there will be athletes that just go for the money. I think some will.
Right.
But I do think that does matter to a player. Is like they want to have they still do want to have a great college experience as long as that college can pay them enough.
Right.
Right.
And if you're at a school like Louisville, they're willing to pay.
Yeah.
So it's a bonus.
But and it's also if the whole roster is different every year and you're meeting all these new teammates instead of just having the same ones all, like the Fab Five in the Michigan days. Like, there was so much roster continuity there. And there's been less and less, and now there's so much less. But I do think there's something to say about, I think when coaches are pitching to players, that it's not just what some people make it out to be, where it's just, here's what we're going to pay you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, they're still showing them around campus.
No,
and still showing them this is what this is who you're going to be for the next year.
Right.
And even if it is just a year, because that's the unfortunate reality, it is an experience that, we came to Northwestern for a year for that.
Exactly.
It's the same. It's a similar thing. There's not money involved.
Right.
But you are getting these 10 plus things on top of what we're paying you. They do have to pay enough. Mm-hmm. That still matters. People aren't going to go to a mid-major school because it's because the name of the school is Colgate or something.
Right.
It's not like that.
Shout out to Colgate.
Yeah, shout out Colgate. But I don't think they're going to be able to get a guy like Donovan Denton in the transfer portal.
No, yeah.
But
exactly.
all these schools that can pay enough, then how do you separate yourself? And if you can't pay quite as much, how do you really separate yourself? Do something like Pat Kelsey's doing over there in Kentucky.
No, for sure. And I think it's kind of hard to separate those two ideas, right? Because at the same time, we understand, right? Number one, in terms of roster continuity, is Ivy League, right? Yeah. So it's kind of hard to use them as an example, right? Because it's like, at the end of the day, if you want to go to the Ivy League, you're going to go to the Ivy League, and you're probably not going to transfer out, right?
Unless you're Xavier Lee, though.
Unless you're Xavier Lee and Jack Scott, who's on Duke now. Yeah. But I think it's difficult to kind of separate those two ideas, right? Because so much of NIL has been tied to the coaches, like you were mentioning, right? Mm-hmm. So when we look at programs, right, it's hard to evaluate whether or not people are there for the money or if they are there for the coach, because inherently the coach is tied to the money that a school's willing to pay them, right? So that idea kind of makes it difficult for me to really be like, oh, he's there for the coach. Oh, no, he's actually there for the money, right? But I think there's more obvious cases in which that is happening, right? And just some schools to list off that are spending, I think, $10 million plus on NIL for basketball specifically. Arkansas, who obviously Calipari is a big spender, right?
They got all the donors.
Right. All the donors, SEC school, people that care about sports programs down there, and a coach that infamously, I feel like the one and done system was dubbed by Calipari almost, right? Like what he was doing at Kentucky.
Yeah.
So we have Arkansas, BYU, which is a surprise, but when you kind of do some more digging and research on that, Danny Ainge is super involved with them. And then also Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz, is involved. So that obviously makes sense. Duke, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan, who are all blue bloods. North Carolina, another blue blood. And then St. John's and Texas Tech. Those schools are interesting because of the fact we were talking about coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just coaches there.
Just coaches.
Just coaches.
Yeah.
So it's like now they have the buy-in from donors because of what you were talking about, the personalities that are leading the helm, right? We saw with Pitino, what he was able to do.
St. John's was off the map.
Yeah, they weren't even in the conversation.
Yeah.
No, not at all, especially when it came to NIL money, right? And now they have a new Adidas deal that the basketball team seems like they're loving it because I saw their social media. They're happy.
They love it.
So that's super interesting as well. And then also the Texas Tech head coach who was previously at North Texas and is now kind of the face of Lubbock when you walk around. His name's Chris McCaslin, who did a really good job last year, and he has a couple of recruits that came in this year, and then some people that stayed. So really that buy-in from those players, I think, is probably because of the fact of how well their coaches are able to kind of galvanize them, right, and get them to buy into the program that they're selling them. So for the most part with the programs I mentioned, though, it's blue bloods or just schools that are directly linked to money in some case, right?
You know who isn't on this list I'm kind of surprised by is UConn.
Yeah. It is surprising. And I was looking,
Maybe
I was
it's
like...
about momentum thing?
I think it's also because of the fact that UConn is a blue blood, but oftentimes we don't necessarily think about them getting necessarily the highest recruits. A lot of those players stay for multiple years. Like even Klingon was there for multiple years, right?
Yeah.
Obviously Castle, one and done, who was there. But even in the past, like Boatwright, Napier, these are older players that have kind of matriculated or matured throughout the program. So not as much in terms of like a culture that relies on paying people to come to their program as opposed to like the crotchety old man, right, of Dan Hurley being like, oh, stay in my program for years and then you'll eventually get to the NBA or whatever your next steps are.
Well, that brings me to a point that I wanted to talk about is I feel like also this system makes it so much harder for coaches to hide behind good players.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Dan Hurley is a great example, especially now that I'm seeing this and seeing that they don't have like the dollars that a lot of these other programs are like, or a lot of these other programs have. Like his coaching is the product.
Right.
It's the product.
Yeah.
It is.
So
Yeah.
it is
Basic
interesting
program.
to look at. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of evolves, right? Because right now the NIL is kind of the wild, wild west, right?
It is.
Like,
And revenue sharing's brand new.
right, exactly.
Couple months.
Right.
Couple months. So we'll see what that looks like going forward, right? And hopefully coaches are buying into that a little more, right? And I think
Yeah.
we've kind of seen what the result has been, right? Coach Krzyzewski retired. Boeheim retired.
Right.
Tony Bennett retired. And I think Larinaga, Miami, retired. Like these are all coaches that were still coaching at a very high level, but I think with the nature of NIL, it's just so hard for them to keep up. Especially when you get that. And Tony Bennett wasn't even old, but a lot of those other coaches were older.
John
so.
Beeline.
Yeah, so yeah.
I also think a
Beeline,
lot
like-
of them just don't want to play this game.
Yeah, they don't.
Like that's one of the reasons why they wanted to go coach in college is because they didn't have to. They thought they
Right.
wouldn't have to deal with all of this.
Right. No.
So it can be a hard sell for people who want to go into this business strictly because they want to be mentors or like they want to be around young people. Like I really do think like the amateurism sell of
Right.
this, whether big quotes around
Yeah.
that, but I think that was a genuine sell for a lot of coaches.
It probably was, especially when they started because they were coaching for 20 plus years.
Right.
So now, not so much, but it'll be interesting to see going forward this season, especially, right, with revenue sharing into the equation and then obviously more revenue just coming into the sport of college basketball. So be interesting. But every Tuesday and Thursday, you can tune in here. This has been 303 Hoops.
Thanks
Till
for
next
joining
time.
us, Sydney.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Sydney.
guys. It was a blast.